what's up, everybody? Welcome back to episode 5 of the Unguided Nations podcast. I'm your host, Richie Tolway, joined today by myself, Richie Tolway. It's my podcast, once again. I know I skipped, it's been a couple weeks. I owed you episode 5 last week, and I owe you episode 6 yesterday. Just way behind. It's not that I'm slacking off. I've been trying to enjoy my life a little bit. It's been very weird. I know it's kind of ass backwards to start a travel podcast at the very end of a 7-month journey, but hey, that's what we're doing here. So, yeah, I mean, the trip is coming to a close. The big marathon trip is coming to a close. It is now March 5th. I'm recording this. I'm going to put it out in a couple hours. So you're hearing my life happen live, folks. Not really, but I'm going to recap the last 2 weeks live and then send it out tonight. But anyways, it's March 5th. I mean, I am flying. I'm getting on a plane in less than 5 days. And then I'm going to go back to New York City to live and work for a little while. So, scary stuff, but really, it's just I've been enjoying. It's really hard to want to go out and film things. Editing takes a lot of time. I'm not complaining in any way, but I'm looking around and I'm like, oh my God, I have to soak up so much more of this. Because when I get to New York City, I'm going to want to film in New York City. I'm going to want to show all these different things and go around and explore New York City through a creative lens. But right now, there's like people. This is like a people time of my life. I remember when I was leaving New York City, all I wanted to do was be around my friends. I wanted to like soak up every bit of the people that I had come into contact with. And I've been meeting some amazing people over the last 2 weeks. And it's very hard to be like, hold that thought. Let's stop this deep conversation. I just want to film a goofy little bit or something like that. And so it's just been me living my life. That's all there really is. There's also just a ton of panic in producing stuff right now. I just don't know where my life is at. It's March 5th. I land in New York City on March 11th. I do not have housing lined up. I've been trying to search for housing, but finding an apartment in New York City when you live there, while you're there, if you're out searching day in and day out, it is impossible to find housing. Especially if you're like me and you're not trying to get up on a lease. Because I think I'm only going to be in New York City for about 6 to 8 months. So I'm not trying to get my ass up, signed into a year-long lease. I don't want to do credit checks. I don't want to do income verification because your boy has had no income for the last 7 months. So I'm not going to be able to get on a lease anyways. So I'm looking for like weird sublets. I'm on Craigslist. Craigslist has weird things where it blocks international IP addresses. It's just been very weird trying to find housing and get it lined up. So I think I'm probably going to be landing and like jumping into an Airbnb or whatever, which isn't ideal. I would really want to land in New York City and just have a place like I've had in Bangkok here. But that's the toughest thing, man. I've been in Bangkok now for like 6 to 8 weeks, I think. This has been my home. This has been the closest thing I've had to a home for 7 months. I've been going to meetings here, like my AA meetings. I'm telling people, that I'm going home to New York City. I'm going to go back to my home group. I have this group out in Williamsburg that I go with my friend, Austin, and I'm like, yeah, that's my home group. That's where I'm going to go. And I'm tallying up. I've been to more meetings here in Bangkok with these people that I've seen day in and day out. I've been going to sometimes twice a day meetings. I've seen these people more than I have my home group. I'm not going to my home group. I'm leaving my home group. I'm leaving home. Terrifying. I'm leaving friends that I've seen, day in and day out, old guys that I go out and have lunch with at Sizzler. You're damn right, I'm 30 years old. I go eat at a salad buffet inside of a mall sometimes. That's how cool my life has been. Going to Sizzlers. I didn't even think they had Sizzlers here. Sizzlers out here is a salad bar. I know Sizzlers back in the States, it's a really bad buffet, but here it's a restaurant. They have a full kitchen. I don't know how good the food is because you can go there and just get the massive soup and salad bar, and it's not too bad. Little pro tip if you're traveling. Sizzler ain't so bad outside the States. Anyways, yeah, I'm leaving a normal life. I'm leaving what is now a pretty damn normal life and upending it to go live in an expensive city. Ooh, my budget, I'm like, yo, please find me a room. Anybody tell me a room, I'll pay whatever price. My budget is like $1,300. Not that I can comfortably spend $1,300 a month in rent right now. I do still have some of the cash that I left with saved up, and that's what I'm willing to do. Like I could throw someone like $3 to $4 grand for a few months just to like have somewhere to be and to land and to like get my feet under me. Luckily, I have that money still, and I still cannot find a room. It's so impossible to find a room. Sweet child of mine. Ba, ba, ba. So I went to Pattaya, took a bus down from Bangkok to Pattaya, or Pattaya, whatever you want to call it. It costs $1. $1? Yes, maybe $2. It's insanely cheap. Maybe it's like $2.50 or something like that. $2.50 for a bus ride, air-conditioned bus, 2 hours, boom, you're in Pattaya. It's got the beach there. It's kind of, a little seedy. There's those streets with all the ladies that'll grab your junk and whatnot. But otherwise, it's a beautiful beach, and for anybody that has been there, I know it's kind of like everybody's like, oh, the beach is disgusting there. It's full of trash. They've actually done stuff within the past year. So the beach is much larger than it was. It has tons of sand, and it's clean, and it's not filled with trash anymore. I was there. I was running a lot. And I showed up to the AA meeting. I went to the very first early morning meeting where mostly it's just the older people, not elder people, just older people. People that are retiring, expats and all that stuff. I'm one of the few young people out here in Thailand because, at least, or young people that are in Thailand in Alcoholics Anonymous, I guess, that have already hit the brick wall. So one of the few young people, and they were like, hey, get over to the main building, sign up, as early as you can. And the big thing in AA is you do service. So, like, I show up there. I don't know anybody anyways. I have no friends there, like, no real friends, nothing. I end up running into this one young girl from South Africa, and she's just nice as anything. And her and I hit it off right away. We become good friends. And her and a few other people, we signed up for service immediately. So I signed up. It's in this hotel that's shaped like a cruise ship, but it's honestly shaped like the Titanic, like post-iceberg. There's just like chunks of cruise ship in different buildings because they built this one main building and then they just kept like putting different parts of a cruise ship next to it. So there's all these old people showing up, and I'm like, okay, so some meetings are going to be over here, other meetings are going to be over on the same floor, but in the other buildings, you got to go down 2 flights of stairs, through this weird back alley. You have to answer the questions 3 of the weird troll. It's all these like ridiculous instructions. So I was just showing people. I was like, let me walk you over there. So that was the best thing because now all of a sudden I'm like the face of people coming in. They come in, they sign up, they register for the convention. They're there all week, and then I'm just sitting there smiling, shaking hands, kissing babies, saying, let me walk you over to your door, ma'am. And I'm meeting everybody. So now, I got to meet like half of the people on day one, and it was just like the most beautiful thing in the world. I never thought that I'd be going to a convention, let alone like an AA convention. And I thought it was going to be super cheesy. It ended up being like one of the best weekends ever. First of all, old people are my people. I am 90 years old at least inside. So I was getting along great. And, just the meetings, just constant meetings, like I chaired a meeting, which is like that's when you run the meeting. They were very open. The group of people that I got in with, that young girl from South Africa, her sponsors, people from Australia and whatnot, they're all just very open. In New York, it's a little more pomp and circumstance. They're like, you can't do shit, until you're a year in, like you're not, you're a freshman. But like internationally, they're like, dude, get into it right away. Just start hosting meetings, start doing whatever the hell you want to do. Keep yourself as close to the pack as possible. So it was really nice. I was, really in tune with people that have had really good lives after making the same choices that I made, and seeing that it can lead to much better things. So it was really great. For those few days, I didn't really get to hang out with my brother too much. I was just very involved in the convention. It was funny though. He came up to me. So he met up with me in Bangkok, and same kind of thing. You get to Thailand, it's just like nothing but big lights and bright city and everything, and the girls, and the bars and everything, like not even in a pervy way. You don't have to be interested in it. It's still like very attractive women coming up to you. We went down this street called Soy Cowboy. My brother and I went down this street called Soy Cowboy in Bangkok, and it's like one of the original like sex streets. Every bar on there is a closed door bar. Most bars are open door, so you can only flirt with the girls and then you have to take them home. These ones are closed doors, so like shit actually happens in the bar. Either way, you walk down there, we're like, yeah, fine, let's go in there for a little laugh. I mean, you literally get groped. Women walked up to me, put their hand on my chest to stop me, and then just bottom, underhand uppercut my balls. It was a lot. It's a lot, but it's just like, it's weird at first. You're like, God, this is a whole new world. But then I circled back with him. He was in Bangkok for a few days, traveled to a couple other places, met me back in Pattaya, and he just looked drained. And I was like, it gets old, huh? Because you can either enjoy the fact that you don't understand anything. You walk around Thailand, you can't read anything. You can't hear anything. There's no eavesdropping taking place. You just don't understand. You're in this little world of your own where even if you want to interact with people, you can't really. So you just have to become very in your own head, kind of self-reliant. I don't know. I don't even know what you want to call it. But it becomes lonely if you're just walking around alone all the time, because the only people who are talking to you are trying to sell you, whether it's their bodies or food or trinkets and souvenirs or whatever the hell. The only people who talk to you are people who are trying to sell you things, and you become very suspicious of your fellow man, and it gets kind of lonely and cold. And he had that like broken look. He was like, this is weird. I don't like it. And it's just like, I get it. I understood. I had that same look, so it was funny to see him go through that as well. But I didn't get to see him too much, though. It was his birthday. He got to do everything he wanted to do, saw all the things of Thailand, so I'm really happy I got to run into him. Love you, Brett. Hope you had a good birthday. That's that. Okay, fun. So at the end of the convention, we're sitting there, and again, I spent a lot of time with this girl from South Africa, and we were just, we're hanging out, we're grabbing dinner, whatever. Just another young person. There was we were some of the very few young people at the convention, and then the other young people had come with other young people. Like there was a big group of Canadians. At one point, they invited me over for lunch, but other than that, they were a very self-contained group. So there weren't a whole lot of young people. So we were just kind of hanging out. We had made good friends again, hit it off. It was very cool. So at the end, the final dinner, she was like, "Hey, so some of us are gonna go to Koh Samui, which is a different island." And she invited me along. They were going for like 5 days or whatever. And mind you, I was just going to come back to Bangkok and spend the last couple weeks in Bangkok relaxing, doing nothing, just kind of, I don't know, decompressing from all of this jumping around. But, the guy who never wants the party to stop in me was like, fuck yeah, I want to go to Koh Samui. Like it's the last hurrah. When that opportunity presents itself, to be like, hey, you're gonna go home to New York. Do you want to go take a last minute 5-day trip to some island and drive around and see waterfalls and like all that shit? It was great. So I jumped on that. And I even like helped pay for someone's plane ticket. I was like, we're doing this. It was so alcoholic of me. It was like, so like, I don't care what it costs. Let's go. Like just this stupid, 10:30 p.m. decision. But we went. Next day, we were on a flight to Koh Samui. We landed there, and it was great. It was beautiful. We spent the first day in the sun. I got the worst sunburn ever. I'm still peeling from it. 3 days in on the island, I went to go put sunscreen on my forehead, and it just felt like I was touching a plastic mask. And I looked, and the sunscreen, I don't know if you've ever peeled really badly, but the second you put sunscreen on, it just lights up every crack there. And we're like out ready to go to the beach club, and dude, it looked horrible. I looked like an iguana shedding its skin, so I had to go and just like rip off my entire face. It was fucking brutal. I cannot believe I didn't put sun. We were out just talking for like 8 hours. So here's the weird thing. I go there. I'm with this girl. She's an attractive girl, but like we're in the program, and she's a saint. I mean, there's nothing wrong here. it's only misconstrued because other people were like, man, hey, you found a girl, and I'm like, no, I think we're just friends. Pretty sure we're just friends. But it's still like in the back of your head, you're like, are we just friends? I have no idea. But I don't make moves. I don't push that because it's creepy. It comes off. I'm not a shoot your shot guy. I've realized that about myself. I'm not gonna lean in to every girl and creep 20 out in order to get a kiss from one. Like that's not me. Those 20 times where the girl's like, what? No, don't kiss me. That'll haunt me forever. So that's just not me. So I'm like, yeah, we're just friends. I will always default to that. Always default to not making the move, and that's just fine. That's not how everybody should live, but that's just how I live. So, but some people were like, yeah, you guys are, doing your thing. Congrats. I met my girlfriend at AA too. And I'm like, no, it's not that. But we get there, we're hanging out, we're talking, day in and day out for like 3 days. At one point, she saw I was reading this book, The 5 Languages of Love, which is just good to, discover. It's about how you show love. It's about how each person shows love where we grow up, and whether it's words of affirmation or acts of service or gifts, it's however we prefer to give and receive love. And it especially focuses on like long-term marriages and things like that, where you think because you tell your wife that she's beautiful that she knows you're communicating your love to her, but really she gets love through acts of service, and she just really wanted you to take out the fucking trash can, and you don't take out the trash can on time, so therefore you're not showing her love in your language, in her language. You're showing it in her language, but she doesn't understand you. It's like that. It's breaking down how to find out who. What language you speak and what language your partner speaks, and how you can learn each other's language. Anyways, she's like, oh my God, that's such a good book. We should go read it. And I was like, yeah, you can read it after me. And she's like, no, we're going to go read it on the beach together. We're like reading each other a love language book, chapter by chapter, out loud on the beach. And I'm not, I'm not like, oh, that's wrong, that's bad, that's clearly like some sign. It's just weird. It challenged me. It challenged my views of how friendships work and things like that. And it was beautiful in retrospect. It's like, yeah, oh my God, what a good, cool moment to just be able to explore openly, love languages and relationships and all that kind of stuff with somebody, and not ever have to make it something more. But it was the pressures from the previous parts, previous paradigms in my life, and from, external factors that were like, what the fuck is happening here? Like, I had therapy that night. I do online therapy. I just started doing online therapy again. Can you guess why? No, I started doing online therapy. It's just, with all the adjustment back into New York City and all that shit, trying to become the best me. I was talking to my therapist, and I was just going fucking apeshit. I'm like, what is this? Like, are these signals? Like, I have no idea. And it was just, his advice was like, shut up and trust yourself. Like, just make a call and stick with it, and it's fine. Like, quit freaking out. And nothing happened. That's nothing happened. Nothing was meant to happen. There was nothing there. We were good friends. That's it. I met a great person. And through her, I met like 5 other great people. We spent like, a whole week with a bunch of amazing people from around the world in Koh Samui. We were all sober. We could all get on board with that and just have like the time of our life exploring together. It was so much fun. But man, it's great when you meet somebody that challenges you in a way, challenges your ideas. And especially someone that grows up on the opposite side of the world. Like, shit that she said, and I don't mean to be like going off on her, but it was so interesting to be around somebody, and when they talk about things, it's just shit. It was like hanging out with an alien. Like, literally, she was like, yeah, we would have, she had all these things, like spiritual things. She would talk about, she was so into spirituality. She was so into the program and so into spirituality, which was really nice because I grew up spiritually dead. I grew up in a family with no religion whatsoever. I grew up in a family that was, when you're dead, you turn into a pile of meat and you go into the ground. And that might be your truth and everything, but that's a very sad way to live, to not have belief. I've learned so much about belief and what that really means. When you're told that knowledge is currency as a kid, that all you have to do is be filled with knowledge and know everything, be so strong in your convictions that you should know everything and learn everything and retain information. When knowledge is currency, you're not shown the value of belief, and belief is the absence of knowledge, and that's when the thinking kicks in. I think that's when belief is just I've just started believing in things, and it may not be a God, it may not be an afterlife, but it's just saying shit. You might be right. It's listening to weird things people say and saying you might be right. I don't know. Why would I think that I know any better than you when it's really just things that I believe? I believe some things to be true, and I was told that they were fact, but it's just all belief. I was in the dentist. Oh God, this is so rambly. You know what it is? I just watched. I listened to 5 hours of Alex Jones on Joe Rogan, and I don't really listen. I'm not a Joe Rogan fan, and I'm not an Alex Jones fan either. But that was just the most interesting podcast, and they were so rambly that I'm like kind of probably channeling that mindset. But about spirituality, about belief, I remember I had a childhood dentist, and they had one of these posters on the wall that when they laid me back, I could see. So when I was like, being put under with laughing gas or whatever, I'd read these. And it had all these lame quotes just written in cursive, the standard bullshit doctor office wall art. But one of them stuck out to me, and it said, at 17, I thought I knew everything. And at age 70, I'm so surprised at how little I know. And that was always really cool to me. That stuck with me. Even as a real little kid, I was like, I want to get to that 70-year-old stage and recognize how little I know. That sounded really fun, to get past that foolhardy I know everything phase of my life, because I was so sick of it. I was such a smart kid. I was told that I had to know everything and that I did know everything, and I wanted to believe in things. I wanted to just like have faith that there are other things out there. And when you look out at things you don't truly know or truly understand, and you just kind of make it up, it's just that's a whole new side of your brain. It's a whole new side of your brain that's creative and fun and childlike. There's a wonder to it. So being around somebody for 5 days that grew up in South Africa, and it may, it's part of the South African culture, but I'm realizing too, it's just like being around those cultures that have that spirituality aspect of it. People in New Orleans, my friends that grew up in New Orleans, even if they're not like part of this like voodoo culture or whatever, and even if you grew up in South Africa and you didn't grow up in a tribe of the, they don't have Aboriginals. That's in Australia. What are I don't know. I don't know what the indigenous people of South Africa are. They were called something, she said, but when you grow up around that, you hear about, the medicine men, and you hear about, she's telling me about this story about the tokoloshi, which is just this small, like, water sprite that people wish upon you, and he haunts you at night and things like that. She's telling me that, her house was haunted by a tokoloshi as a kid. It's just shit like that where you're like, you 100% believe this, and it's beautiful, and who the fuck am I to say that a tokoloshi doesn't exist? Like, what the fuck do I wasn't there. I wasn't there when you say your family saw this thing. I wasn't there for any of that. And there's an entire country of people, a whole continent of people that believe that this thing exists, and believe that, the way you treat people will come back to haunt you in certain ways. I don't know. I wasn't raised in that spiritual way of believing things. And it's beautiful. Even, my friend Shelby, who grew up in New Orleans, people that believe in tarot cards, people that are able to suspend disbelief for things. I think it's a really beautiful way to have been brought up, because I used to think they're stupid. I used to think the people that believed in astrology were stupid. People believe in witchcraft and tarot cards and palm readings were just dumb, but really they're just able to think about things in a different way and be comfortable in not really knowing. Oh man, I don't know why that wound me up so much, but it was really, really nice. It was such an eye-opening time to be around people that were really spiritually full and vibrant and it made me want to believe in stupid things. And I'm not believe in stupid things, but made me want to believe. Made me want to just start looking at things and just being like, man, I'm so dumb. Just admit how dumb you are. Quit talking about what you know. Talk about the shit you don't know. Ask about the things you don't know. Learn a little bit. I don't know, man. I love it. Love it. Yeah, so freaked out about that. And I was like, I didn't know if I was being hit on, or if I just made a new friend, or also, AA is all about the 12 steps. It's about taking in the most outside, quiet loser you can find and pulling them in close to the herd so they don't stray. So that's another thing I was talking to my therapist about. I'm like, I don't know if she wants to date me, or if she just likes me as a friend. I have a new friend, or if she thinks I'm a fucking loser. And he's like, that's out of left field, man. Why? Who the hell thinks like that? Apparently me. I just don't feel like I have much to offer anybody. The people, like when rich people are like, yeah, I can't date because people just want stuff from me. I'm like that, but I don't even have anything to offer. if someone talks to me, I'm like immediately suspect. I'm like, what do you want? I know you don't just want to talk to me. That's some negative shit. I don't know. Go into therapy. So I come back. I'm on the bus ride back to Bangkok, and it's just been this beautiful time in Koh Samui. Come back to Bangkok, and on my way back, a girl hits me up that I met a few weeks ago, and we hung out a couple of times. I really enjoyed her company, but there was another kind of we had met in a way that we're not supposed to be interested in each other. So again, not gonna broach that thing. It's just like it's like people in the workplace meeting women at comedy shows, or meeting other female comics or whatever, meeting people in AA. There are just places that you're like told, like, hey, it sucks. It sucks being a woman in the workplace. It sucks being a woman in comedy, and it sucks being a woman in AA, because most of these places are just like huge male-dominated things where, if you try to be friends with a guy, they always think it's something more. So whatever. I'm not gonna go on some. If you listen, you'll hear enough of it to see where I'm coming from. If you really listen, but I've heard enough of the stories where I'm just, I don't push it. But so I met this girl, and then she hit me up, and we hadn't talked in a couple weeks. Just been busy. She goes out for the weekends. I was out in Koh Samui and running around, and we end up hanging out, and we end up hanging out for like 48 hours straight. She was like, hey, let's go swimming at my place, and we're swimming, and I'm like, maybe. I mean, I think any other person would have said, like, I probably got the green light a long time into this, that there was some romantic interest, but whatever. I'm a bitch. I think my friends would say bitch. I'm trying to think of what words my friends would say, and they would probably just say, you're a bitch. And it's a horrible word, but that's all I can think to say. Anyways, I bitched out. I didn't, go in for the kiss or anything, but we're hanging out, and she's like, we get out of the pool, we go, and we're laying on her couch, listening to music, we're talking for like 6 hours. It's 3 a.m, and I'm like, well, I guess I should be going. And she's like, I mean, you want to just stay here? And I was like, yeah, I guess so. And so I go to sit on the couch, and she's like, oh, you're going to sleep out on the couch? And I was like, oh, you want me to sleep on your bed? And she was like, yeah. So I go and I sleep. I go and sleep on her bed fully clothed. I say sleep, but really I lay awake for 6 hours next to a sleeping woman on her bed, and it's like 3 a.m, and I was like, I didn't want to be presumptuous or whatever, and she's like, you're not. It's 3 a.m. You're in my apartment. So she goes to sleep, and I just lay there, and I'm like, should I Do I just like put my hand on her? But I'm not gonna have that moment. The one thing I'm never gonna have is the moment where someone, thinking I'm just an innocent friend, invites me to crash at their place, and they wake up with me spooning them. You know, thinking I'm not gonna do that to myself. I would never live that down. So, slept over at this girl's house, aka laid awake at this girl's house. Woke up the next morning, went and had coffee and breakfast, and then she was like, I'm gonna go rock climbing later if you want to come. And I was like, yeah, sure, absolutely, thinking she doesn't actually want me to come. Like, that was just a nice way of her being like, hey, we'll hang out sometime soon. Fucking loser. Sure enough, a couple hours later, she's like, hey, I'm going rock climbing, you want to come? So I went rock climbing, spent another couple of days with her, and at that night I was like, hey, so very attracted to you. And she was like, yeah, no shit, like, you fucking idiot. Of course you're attracted to me. Of course I'm attracted to you. So, and that's now 2 days ago. So, exactly 1 week from when I'm ready to leave to go back home, I find a girl I really like, who seems to really like me, who we enjoy each other's company. We've been spending nothing but time together, and then I'm gonna leave. And she's from London. I left, and I said it on the Keith and the Girl podcast like 8 months ago. I was like, I'm gonna find a girl with an English accent who speaks the Queen's English. I said I was gonna propose to the first woman who said both to me, and that already has been claimed by some girl in Dorking. She said both to me, but I didn't propose to her. I'm not saying I'm proposing to this woman either, but just funny that I start off in London, I put it out into the world that I'm gonna find someone who speaks the Queen's English, and sweep them off their feet, and it takes exactly 7 months when I'm in Bangkok, Thailand, 5 or 6 or 7 days out from when I'm flying 8,000 miles across the world to go home for at least 8 months, because I have to run the New York City Marathon in November, that I actually find someone I enjoy that just hits a lot of numbers for me. So ain't that fun, folks? To fall for somebody that you can't have. Maybe that might be it though too. That's another thing. Is like, oh, I also had therapy again last night, and I was like, hey, all right, so remember I was freaking out about the one girl, new girl, but it's really the old girl, and he's like, are you just girl crazy? And I was like, no, I swear to God, I'm not. I swear, I've just had a couple interesting run-ins. That's it. And I'm generally not. I mean, I went 7 months with blinders on. I went 7 months being like, I am not looking for anything. I do not want a relationship. The last thing I want is a relationship. The last thing I wanted was even sex, because it just is indicative of a relationship for me. And it's just a whole bunch of mental minefields there that I just didn't want to get involved with anybody. And now all of a sudden, I just have one girl who befriends me, and invites me out to an island that I'm like, I don't know what this means, Doc. And then I have another girl who I actually liked and I was talking to for a couple weeks, who finally showed interest in me in a serious way. So I don't know, man. This is all just fucking me up so much. This is all so bizarre, and I have no idea what to do or how to progress other than just to go home. That's all I have. That's all I can do. I just, like, I was talking to him. I was like, what do I feel guilty. I feel bad because I know I'm leaving in 5 days or whatever. I feel like I'm taking something. I feel like I'm, it's like dishonesty or lying or whatever the fuck. But that's all I can do is just enjoy the time that I have here. I have 5 more days, and then continue what I've always done, which is just make a decision, go for it, and expect the best to happen, and know that I'm doing the best with all the information that I have in this moment. I think. I don't know. What would you... Why do I say that? What would you do? Would you cancel your flight home and all of your plans and try... No, that's stupid. I'm not changing my life for anybody. Nobody should be changing their life for me at this point. So you just continue on, and you let life happen around you. I think that's the whole point of this, is learning to let life happen around you and controlling your reaction to it. So I'm going home to New York City. I'm picking back up the moving business, picking back up the handyman business, finding myself an apartment, running the marathon. I'm working on a pilot script now. Who the fuck thought I'd be writing a pilot script, man? I have had such a journey over the last 7 months of creativity, of, you know, and I meant to say this up top. I have not been producing videos whatsoever. That's part of this whole like panicking thing, is that I wanted to just intake as much as possible. I've done some photography because that feels very much of an intake thing as well. I don't feel like I output photography. I feel like I intake photography. That's a way to enjoy and ingest the world around me, digest the world around me. But videos is very, I have to be very active and not in the situation, not in the moment. So I haven't been doing videos, and I just don't have the motivation. I'm not gonna have the motivation to film anything else in Bangkok until I'm traveling home to New York City. So sorry, but yeah, I can't. I need to enjoy the people around me in my life here in Bangkok before I leave. So, but yeah, man, this creative journey has been fucking insane. The amount of 36 minutes of me just talking into a microphone. I've done this 5 times now, and I'm going to keep doing this. I would never do this. I would never expect myself to be able to do this, to be able to do the photography, and earnestly put out things that I think are pretty and be okay with that. It's very bizarre. And now I have this, this pilot idea. I want to write a TV show. It's been really great. And I appreciate all you guys. God, I'm in this fucking blanket fort. I feel like someone's in my apartment. Okay, fuck, that was. I thought something was in my apartment, dude. I can't see anything. I'm covered up in a blanket again. Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for coming along with this. This is gonna keep going, keep getting better. The videos will start back up soon. The photography will keep coming around. The podcast is still gonna keep happening, and just stay on board, because I'm going to keep producing things, and I hope you guys continue to enjoy them. But that is going to be it for this episode. March 5th, the 5th episode of the Unguided Nations Travel Podcast. That's going to soon become the Unguided Nations Podcast. It's probably going to become the Richie Tolway's What Is He Talking About Now podcast. Oh boy, babies. Who knows what we're doing? Anyways, thank you guys so much. Please make sure to hit the like if you're listening somewhere, wherever. Go to Instagram, look up Unguided Nations, follow me there for my travel photography. Go to YouTube, search for Unguided Nations. And if you're listening to this on the Apple Podcast Store, Apple Podcast app, Apple Store, give it a thumbs up, give it a 5-star review, leave a little review, say you love me. Do whatever you can, do whatever you will. Share this with someone that might like it. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate your support. I love you, and I'll talk to you in a week. I'm Richie Tolway with Unguided Nations, and I will see you next week for episode 6.